Okay, we are back here at Hawaii Real. I have with me my good buddy, John Ledesma. He is a photographer, a great photographer, and he posts his stuff on Instagram at
Alpha 808 Photography.
Alpha 808 Photography. So if you're into Instagram and you love pictures of Hawaii, whether it be aircraft at the airport,
Yep.
people in the ocean surfing,
the
stars,
dolphins, turtles, honos,
oh my God,
all that. Yeah.
Alpha 808 on Instagram.
Underscore photography.
Photography. Okay.
There we go.
Is there any other Alpha 808 people on Instagram?
Not that I know of. I have not checked.
All right.
I know when I did the old samurai guy photography, there was several that popped up and I had to play around with the names.
I like Samurai Guy Photography.
I did.
That's
kind of
sad.
sad giving it up, actually.
Yeah, you gave that up. I was searching for Samurai Guy Photography, and I was like, it's Alpha what? Okay.
Yeah, I may go back. I've switched my Instagram name so many times anyways. So.
All right, but you'll let us know when you switch
Yeah,
your name. Okay,
yeah,
so we
definitely.
can throw it out there.
Right.
Okay. So how long have you been doing photography?
About 6 years, I'd say.
Okay. What got you into that?
I surfed a lot, and I did stop surfing because of injuries and whatnot. I needed something to kind of keep me motivated.
Mm-hmm.
So photography kind of just fell in my lap. So I came across a picture of a Milkyway. It was someplace looks like the Alaska or somewhere in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
It was a mountain with snow caps, nighttime, beautiful lake. And there was a nice Milky Way going across the sky. And I said, wow, that's the most fantastic photo I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to do that. I want to capture that. So,
Nice.
So I researched for about a year before I actually bought my first camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I went online, did the YouTube, did all the online searches.
Yeah.
And I came across a Sony channel, a guy that uses Sony camera. He was like a Nikon, whatever you want to call it, shooter. And his name was Jason Lanier.
We're on Nikon.
Yep. And his name was Jason Lanier. And he talked about that what captured me was it was a wedding shot on a Sony mirrorless camera or something. I didn't know nothing about cameras. So I said, I'm going to check this out. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like everything I wanted in a camera. Small, compact, takes great photos. Mm-hmm. So I started researching that camera for a full year. And then I realized, okay, that's going to be my first camera, was the Sony Alpha A6000. I think that was at the time. With a cheap lens at first, I think I put in about $1,200 just on the camera and the lens. The camera at the time was
first starter?
$600 to $800 depending on where you bought it from.
Okay.
And then so my mentality is when I buy things is buy the best, buy it from the best. Don't go to gray market and all that because you never know what you're going to get. So I spent about $750 on the camera, a couple $100 on a cheap kit lens at the time I thought was the greatest. I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
And then I started to research how to photograph Milky Way. And then I started to upgrade the lens from there to cater to that. So, yeah.
And the pictures that you take of the Milky Way now, they're ridiculously good. Like,
Thanks.
I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, but when I look at the pictures that you take and that you're posting, it's like, dude, how did you do that? Like, I go outside, try to take a picture, and it's just like black.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be something super technical, super hard. My first night out, it was like, wow, I thought it was great, but when I look back at it now, 6 years later, I'm like, oh, those first Milky Way pictures, I mean, they were okay, but they were like, I'd kind of be embarrassed to show them now. But
did you actually capture the Milky Way in the first few times you did?
Yeah. In fact, the first one I did, I was like, the first shot I took, it's like it came out and I was just blown away. Actually, I went out to Mokulea and I could see it with my naked eye. And I've always gone out Mokulea camping, surfing, whatever, and just hang out there late at night. You see billions of stars, but I never knew nothing about the Milky Way per se. So, but now anytime I go into anywhere that's dark skies, I just look up. I know which direction to look now, and I can, pick out where the Milky Way's at.
So there's different times a year and stuff like that with the Milky Way?
Yeah, so depending on, Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, which would be for Hawaii folks, we would be considered looking for the Milky Way in the Northern Hemisphere. So for Hawaii, it starts about mid-February. You can start getting it, and then it'll run all the way till about mid to late October.
Oh, so most of the year?
About half the year, yeah. So half the year, you have a good you have a good composition of the Milky Way. So at the earliest start of the season, it'll be like you'd have to go like 3, 4 in the morning before first light, because by the time it rises above the horizon, early in the year, February, March, it's comes up like 3 or 4 in the morning. So you go out there and then you go look towards the southeast end of the island, that way. And then it'll slowly rise. And there's apps for that now. When I first started, I didn't use apps. I just kind of knew I had to look southeast, and then just look for a cluster of stars. And then certain stars during certain times of the year, like this year, I think it was Jupiter. If you knew where Jupiter was, the Milky Way, Jupiter and the Milky Way was together almost the whole year. So all you had to look for the brightest star, point your camera that way, set the exposure, and you're almost bound to get it with the right lens.
So when you go out to photograph the Milky Way and stuff, you're going out like super early in the morning?
At the beginning of the season, yeah.
Okay.
The closer you get to summer, it'll start rising like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So you don't have to go in the wee hours of the morning. The only bad thing is summertime, the sun goes down later.
Right.
So you got to wait till the sky is dark enough. Me personally, I like my Milky Ways when they're like an arch, almost like a rainbow, or at least like a 45-degree angle up in the sky. I don't like it straight up, or when it's clocked over to going from like 7 to 2 or 7 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's later in the season because it'll rotate each month.
Does that just make for a better picture when you're talking about that?
I think so, especially for the limited areas we have here. To me, it is, but it all depends on your taste. I mean, if you I don't composite my Milky Way shots. One, because I'm not that good at Photoshop yet. But for those that don't know, compositing is they'll take one picture of the Milky Way, they'll take another picture of something else, they'll combine the two photos to look like one natural shot.
So you have like the beach or something like that, and then...
Yeah, and I always wanted to be challenged by trying to get Milky Ways in a single frame, one take, one shot. And that was my premise at the beginning. But like I said, on Oahu, we only got so many places we can shoot because of all the light pollution. So it's the same thing every year after year. So for here, you're going to kind of have to Photoshop to have something different.
Yeah. Do you ever go outer island and shoot?
Not yet. I've been wanting to, especially Big Island, with the volcano, Volcano National Park and stuff like that. And you got way darker skies.
Is that on your bucket list?
Oh, yeah.
Outer islands?
I keep saying this year I'm going to go. And I said that for the last 2 years, but it just hasn't come about. So.
All right. Yeah, I got to get you out there, man. Take some of those pictures, like go up on top of Mauna Kea and stuff and take like
Haleakala, Maui,
space.
Mauna Kea. It's kind of like overdone already with the telescopes up there with the Milky Way, but I still want to catch that. That's like, for me locally, that's like my holy grail.
Yeah, because I mean, you say it's been overdone, but when I look at your pictures, like you have a great eye for things, and just like I don't know if it's over years of doing it or if it's just like your natural eye and how you look at and perceive things.
Yeah,
but your pictures are better than other people's pictures that I've seen.
Thanks. Thanks again. Yeah. I mean, and there's other people that are way better than mine also. Sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of great local photographers that I get inspiration from and stuff like that. So for me, actually, landscapes and stuff like that, I have to work a little bit harder to get the final shot that I want.
Right.
There's other guys that it just seems to come naturally for them. They just have that creative, artistic eye. They can shoot the same place, I think, like 1 week straight, and of the same main subject, and they'll make it look different and beautiful each time. I don't know if I can pull that off yet.
But they've probably been doing it longer.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so.
I mean,
some of them shoot every day.
Right.
Yeah. So I get out when I can for now until I can.
It's a hobby still for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a serious hobby, unfortunately.
Serious hobby.
Unfortunately for the pocketbook, but yeah.
When are you ever going to try to monetize your photographs and stuff like that? You should.
It's kind of like yes and no, because when you start doing it, then it becomes more like a job.
Yeah.
And then, with that comes, deadlines, pressures, or whatever it may be. I mean, it'd be awesome that it would come to that, because that means, hey, people like my stuff.
Yeah.
Then just, coworkers, friends, family say, hey, great great photos, right? To have a total stranger go, hey, I want that in my living room. That'd be like, so, on.
Well, I mean, you took a great picture just last week, and if you don't mind, I want to post it during the
go
video.
for it, yeah.
But you took a great picture of the F-22 Raptors as they were taking off at the airport and here in Honolulu. And I mean, I love seeing pictures of jet fighters and stuff, and I'm always looking out for them when they're taking off and whatnot. But I'd never seen a picture how you had captured it. I don't know if other people just aren't there. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how much luck plays in that, because I mean, you were there at the right day at the right time, doing the right thing with the right equipment.
Well, why I say lucky is because I go there to that Lagoon Drive parking lot at least once a week, and I go right after work. So I'll usually go, if I get out early enough, I'll go there, because certain planes only take off at the certain times, right? Yep. And then you miss that opportunity. So I had to take off from work this week because of house renovations and stuff like that. Ran some errands. So I said, hey, it's only lunchtime. I'm going to hang out at the Lagoon Drive parking lot and see what takes off that day. And 8 Raptors were lining up to take off. I was like, holy smokes. I've never seen more than 4 at one time, right? So I'm going to catch this. And then 4 of them took off normal, got the usual shots that everybody would get from there. And then the 5th one lined up. And then when it went to take off, it just slow rolled down. Like
he probably saw you. He was probably like, "What's up, Johnny?"
The hope is I was like, "Hey, maybe he knows me," and then maybe But I think he had a mechanical problem.
Right.
Did the slow roll, had to make the U-turn, and he was coming back. I was like, "Hey, I think he's going to line up with Diamond Head." So I was like, "This might be the opportunity."
Right.
So that's how I got that shot. Because if he just took off, that shot never would have came to. So.
And I've never seen a shot of a Raptor in front of Diamond Head like that.
Yeah, that location and everything, it was just, like I said, it just all came together. Because I'm sure you can go on Hickam Air Force Base where they're parked at and stuff like that. You can get Diamond Head in the background.
Yeah, but you can't do that though.
Yeah, the normal person's not going to be able to do that.
They're not going to let you on the tarmac to go do that.
Yeah, and I've asked friends that are in the Air Guard to get me on there. They're like, no, we can't do that.
No, I used to live on Hickam, and they, riding bikes around as a kid, they would not let you near the tarmac. Yeah. The MPs would come up and roll up on you.
So I got real lucky, and when it parked in front of me, I got the Diamond Head one as it was still rolling. So, I didn't have a whole lot of time to set it up, and I made the mistake of having it. I did like multi-frame shots per second, right?
Sure.
So I had it on a slower frames per second. So I missed a lot of opportunities to get more shots of it, because as it rolled through, it passed Diamond Head already. So I got about 3 shots of it with Waikiki of just the high rises in the background, and then the one good one or decent one of that I liked, that with the Diamond Head on it. So
decent.
Yeah. So, but he kept rolling. He wasn't slow rolling. I mean, he was moving pretty good. I'd say like 30 miles an hour, whatever.
Right. But there's another one where the aircraft is taxiing, and there's like brown grass in the background and the city in the background.
Right.
And what captured my eye when I looked at that picture was that, and I don't know if it's the coloring of the camera or what you did with it, but the color of the cockpit kind of matches the color of the grass in the background.
Right.
So was that any photoshopping or afterworks? Is that the photo that you took?
Well, I shoot in RAW. So for people, RAW is like taking like film cameras, like old days of film, and then you got to develop that, right?
Yeah.
So if you shoot in JPEG, it kind of colors it for you to a certain point. Yeah. You can still edit it to tweak it, but RAW is a little flatter when you look at it, once you download it from the camera, and then you enhance it and stuff. You edit it, you develop it on a laptop using a program like Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, I boost the colors, I boost the exposure, because I shoot it a little bit underexposed, and then I can bring up the details while I'm developing that.
Okay, so there is part handiwork after taking a photograph to kind of make it super awesome.
Yeah, but what I tried to do with my photos, anytime I shoot whatever it is I try to keep it looking pretty close to what the humans see right then and there.
Right.
I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want to make it too unrealistic. So I try to keep it somewhat, but a little bit on the vibrant side too. So, yeah. So
It was mind blowing when I saw those pictures. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
but that cockpit, I don't know what that coating is on that
Gold.
cockpit. It's almost like a Oakley kind of sunglass kind of thing on it.
Yeah, no, they use gold.
Yeah, so yeah, the way that sunlight was on it, and I saw that, I was like, I got to get this.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of, like I said, I got lucked out. It all came together at
Yeah.
that moment. So, I don't know if I'll get that again because I need another Raptor to
You don't
kind of
need
like
to.
have problems.
But see, that's good. It's going to be hard to have that photograph ever again, and that
Right,
works
right.
in your favor because if anybody else is going to go out there, I mean, there's probably photographers out there daily.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
to get that shot, like you're gonna have to wait there a long, long, long time to get that. So, yeah, I mean, is it luck? I don't know, or is it your intuition that was just like, you know what, I should go there today.
No, yeah, I think a little bit of all of it plays into each other. I think that one was more like, I'd say that one was probably more like 75% luck.
There's no luck. It's intuition. It's all intuition. I believe in that stuff. Like I believe you should follow the signs and the signals and follow your gut and follow those little hairs in the back of your neck kind of thing. Those kind of feelings, follow them.
Yep.
And it works out. Majority of the time.
Yeah, and the funny thing, I wasn't even there to shoot the Raptors that day. I
Right.
went the couple days before, and then I got some Raptors, but it was just a basic, boring takeoff. The shots look, for jets, sorry about that, nice jet shots. But yeah, with that diamond head and the Waikiki in the background with the buildings, that one I really like. So, but
That
I
was
went
good
there
too.
that day to shoot the ANA, the All Nippon Airways, that double decker, that
With the
turtle design.
Yeah, the turtle. Hono.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get that shot for so long, and I always just missed the takeoff. So I got it that day, and then just so happens the Raptors were taking off that day. So
The
I
Raptor ones
got
are
lucky.
much better than the Raptor photographs are much.
Oh yeah, I love military jets. So
They're
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Growing up on my dad was in the Army, so we actually were able to live on Hickam for a year.
Oh, nice.
There was a little Army housing over there. So yeah, no, playing sports over there and riding my bikes all over the place. So I got to see all the, at the time it was F-15s and F-16s
Right.
taking off, flying right over our house and stuff. And there was one time when the Concorde came and landed in Honolulu. I think only a handful of times they ever
Right.
came here, right? And I remember I was at a table like this in my dining room doing my homework, and all of a sudden I could feel the rumble, and it felt like a regular airliner
Right.
coming in, just whatever is going to go over my head, except the rumble just got louder and louder and louder and louder, and my table started to shake and started to shake. I was like, the whole house, it's like a 100-year-old house, started to shake. I was like, what's going on? So I run outside
Yeah, you got to see what that is, right?
just in time to see the Concorde, like 100,
Man.
200 feet over us, going right over to the airstrip.
I'm surprised that thing could even land and take off here.
Yeah, it was cool. That was a good house that we lived at. It was on the beach too, so all the submarines coming into the bay,
perfect.
or the harbor, all the every once in a while an aircraft carrier would come in and make like waves coming into the beach. So we got to see a lot of the military stuff over there.
Yeah, my
Those
dad
fun
was Air
times.
Force, so and then we had relatives and stuff that we were never here locally. We weren't on base, mainland and stuff. We were always on base somewhere, and we'd go to all the air shows and whatnot. And I was around military jets, so yeah. So that's what I love. But I would have loved to have grown up on Hickam and been into photography at that time, because then that would have been
That was back in the day. They didn't have no digital cameras or anything.
No, but just I found photography so late that now that I wish, if I regret anything, it's like, man, why didn't I discover photography when I was like in high school or something?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm trying to catch up on that.
Okay, do you feel like photography is like a dying art when you have all these people with cell phones and the cameras on these things are getting better, and case in point, the DSLR cameras that we have and all the lenses and stuff like that, just making it easy for people like me who just started it a couple months ago, not even a couple months ago, about a month ago, to really start taking great pictures, as opposed to like people that were taking it before all this kind of technology. Or were you even taking pictures like
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I'm kind of still new into photography, so I wouldn't really know if it's gonna like it's a dying art, or if it's actually gonna enhance it eventually, because you're bringing more people into photography with these smartphones, that are starting to get amazing cameras on them, and it may just be that bridge for people to go, hey, you know what? I'm not satisfied with the phone thing anymore. So it may increase photography and people getting into it. But at the other side, like you said, it could be the fact that, hey, they're getting so advanced that maybe it will push away. Maybe not the professional type of cameras. There's always going to be a market for that, just because there's always needs to be professional work. Until cell phones can get to that level, you're always going to rely on, the latest, greatest digital camera or whatever, old school professional type camera, I think.
Yeah.
So, but
when I say dying art, I mean more like it becomes so common for people to be able to do it that the art of it kind of fades.
That's always a possibility. I mean, I hope not. I think now that I'm into photography, I think it's such a fantastic thing to be a part of, to explore and all that. I hope that cell phones don't, kill it, so to speak. So
yeah, I think the great thing, the great advantage you still have with the big lenses and stuff is versus cell phones, they can't zoom. So you're still not going to be able to get a great zoom from a flat cell phone like this that you're going to get on a big lens.
But there are companies now that are making some really good lens attachments for your cell phones where you can actually zoom pretty good. I can't remember the brand of one, but there was just one at the recent PhotoCon, and they had this, almost looked like a regular 35 millimeter lens attached to the camera. Had a case to the camera, and you'd attach that lens, and I was like, holy smokes, man, this is like almost going to be a game changer for cell phone cameras and stuff like that.
But I mean, that kind of just turns the cell phone into like a mirrorless camera, though.
Yeah. So, but the cameras, you'll never get the megapixels that, well, maybe not now, you're not going to get it, but maybe in the future you might. But, for social media, just sharing with friends, posting on Instagram and Facebook, cell phone pictures are more than enough for that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, hang a nice quality photo, depending on what size you print it at, it's not going to look as nice as a dedicated camera, I think. So,
yeah.
To me, that camera will always out-trump a cell phone unless they figure out how to, with technology, just to make it on a more even playing field. But I doubt it. Just the size and the form factor of a cell phone.
Yeah, because you got to figure, like, even the technology that they put into a cell phone, no matter, as that advances, the lenses for cameras can advance along with it, right?
Yeah.
So they can always be bigger, or they're always going to be bigger. The cameras are always going to be bigger. So they'll have that advantage over, something small that needs to fit in your pocket.
Right. I think what the advantage of the cell phone is, it'll probably might kill off is the point and shoot market. So all those quick point and shoot cameras, why carry that around when you got your phone?
Yeah,
your phone is always with you. So.
I don't think I've had one of those cameras since I was maybe since 2003 or so.
Yep.
Actually, no, 2003. We were still using Polaroids. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. I still got my Polaroid Spectra camera.
Yeah, they don't even sell those Polaroids anymore, do they?
They do. There's a couple of places. I forget the names of the places. I think even Walmart sells. I've seen the 600 films there. So, yeah. So, a good thing I kept it. I just kept it because I thought, okay, Polaroid, this might be a collector's item, 50 years from now. Yeah. And it's got film for us. I should start using it again. So
taking it and having it print out, shaking it.
Yeah, because that's when you're going to know you're a good photographer. If you can take a nice photo with a Polaroid, then you know what you're doing. So
yeah, and I was never that. All my Polaroid pictures were stupid.
Yeah, it's like me. I just used it for, we just used it for work,
Yeah.
There's a screwdriver on the ground, right?
Big flash thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was never great, but it was what we had. Yeah, it's funny. Like our kids will never have to deal with that. Polaroids. What's that?
Yep. That's kind of
like
a bummer
winding,
too, though.
Winding a camera.
I always like older back in the day stuff. So, yeah. I feel sorry for the generation nowadays.
I mean, they still have. Kinds of things that harken back, or they bring it to the new and modern technology where it's hip now, because they're starting to bring like record players back. It's like, why would you do that? It's like, it's like, we tried to get away from that. Now you guys are bringing it back. You young kids, you're bringing records back. What are you doing? But I mean, it's it is cool. It's cool to see
Right.
that they do like to bring stuff back. And I know some photography people are bringing back old cameras, like
Yeah.
old box cameras,
Yeah. Yeah.
just for the nostalgia and just to be, different than everybody else. Because
Right.
everybody else is taking it with their cell phones or their nice DSLR or
Yeah.
something like that. And it's like, no, I got my little box camera with a little. So to change pace on photography, well, actually, no, I kind of want to stay on photography because you're so great. Like we haven't even delved into like how you take pictures in the ocean, because you take all kinds of surfing pictures
Yeah.
and shoreline pictures, wave pictures, underwater pictures. you just basically you do it all, really.
Yeah. I'm still trying to find my niche, I guess, niche, whatever it is in photography. So I shoot everything and everything. So until I find what I really like, and then well, I don't want to concentrate on that aspect of photography. So
even your portrait pictures are just it's really great.
That's one I'm gonna kind of let falter to the side
because you don't like doing that.
No, it's not. It's so confusing. It's just so hard to me. It's like with your lighting, with your podcast here, you got to get the right ratio. You got to get the right angle. Lighting can kill a model's look if you do it wrong. So,
right.
I don't want to be that guy that looks at that and goes, oh, you made me look unflattering or something. So it's tough. You get a beautiful girl, you shoot them. Majority of the time, it's going to look like a great photo just because your subject is beautiful. But you take the average person and try and make them look beautiful. That's when you know you're a really good photographer. And there's a lot of good photographers like that. They can take the normal person. I mean, they're not ugly or anything, but they can really highlight their good features. And yeah, it's a lot of work to me. It's more work than I want to invest my photography learning time into. So
you'll stick with Raptors and surfers.
I'll do it now and then with just natural light and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get dedicated. I just sold off all my lighting equipment and stuff like that. So I
could have used some over here.
In hindsight, it would actually probably some of it would have been good. So
yeah. You helped me out a lot here with the lights and with the background over there. So thank you much for that, man.
Yep.
I wouldn't have thought of doing that. So photography is like one of your big hobbies. One of the other great hobbies, and that I know you for, is playing hockey.
Yep.
And you're a great hockey fan. You're a fan of the Kings, the LA Kings. Is there a reason why, or is it just because you were a Hawaii boy and that's the only thing that was on TV?
No, So the reason why I followed the Kings was 1989. As you know, was the trade that rocked the world.
Right. Gretzky came over.
Gretzky came over to LA,
right.
And I was a big Gretzky fan. That's how I got into hockey. I worked at United Airlines back in the late 80s. This was during the second of their four, right about the second, third, fourth cup that they won of the four when they were the dynasty.
For the Oilers.
Yeah, when Gretzky was playing for the Oilers.
Right.
So I come home from United Airlines like 11 at night. ESPN or something's playing a rerun of the playoff game from earlier that day. It was the Edmonton Oilers. I don't even know who they were playing. But I just remember the commentator going, Gretzky to Krushelnyski, Gretzky to Tikkanen. I'm like, wow, this must be Russian players, right?
Yeah.
Not knowing that, Gretzky's Canadian, all that.
Yeah.
The names just sounded odd to me. So I said, oh, what is this thing, man? And they're just talking about this Gretzky guy. So I got to watch this, right? So I kind of piqued my interest that first night I saw that rerun. And a couple of nights later, come home again from work, and another Edmonton Oilers game on, game 3, whatever it is, and then started watching this thing. I said, wow, this game is pretty cool. I've never seen anything like it, right? Hitting, all this kind of stuff, fancy plays, and I got hooked. I watched 3 games of the Edmonton Oilers win a cup. I don't even know which cup they won, if it was the second or the third one, and I was hooked on hockey. And
that was it for you.
That was it from there, yeah. So I was a big Gretzky fan. Not so much a hockey fan. I was just a big Gretzky fan at first. And then when they made that trade, I started to follow the Kings because Gretzky was there. And then I started to learn more about the game. And then I became a fan of the game. And that's when I wanted to play the game. So I bought, a cheap pair of roller blades. Remember when they first came out?
Yep.
So I bought roller blades. I went to Toys R Us here.
Yeah.
I bought a cheap kid stick. It was probably not even my size, but, I bought it in a little rubber ball. And I would play on a tennis court while my wife's working. I'd wait for her to pick her up. I'd just kill time at Washington Intermediate School by McCully Zippies, skate around, shoot up against a chain link fence. Don't know what I'm doing, but it felt like the coolest thing on earth.
So that is like the same story as me, except for the
Cool.
fact that I was, how old was I? Maybe 12.
Yeah.
12 years old at the time. But yeah, seeing I think Gretzky was already on the Kings at the time when I first got to see him, because it was in the 90s already.
Right.
And for me, it was because they had Fox West,
Right.
Fox
yeah.
Sports West,
Yeah.
and so they were just showing the Kings games. It was the Kings channel, LA Sports channel. So.
Easy to access the games, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the only team that I could watch consistently, and that's kind of how I got hooked on it. And then the movie Mighty Ducks came out, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the coolest movie ever. And looking back on it, it's like, no, that movie sucks.
Yeah, when that came out, I was a Ducks fan for about a year. I bought the full Mighty Ducks Disney
Well, they were
jersey,
good when
everything.
they were good when they started,
Yeah.
man. Paul Correa and stuff. Yeah, Timu Solani. They did really good. But now I hate the Anaheim Ducks. I hate
Oh
them.
yeah, me too. Ducks and San Jose Sharks.
Me too.
I love when they
So I
tank.
think if you're a Kings fan, you hate
Oh, yeah.
you hate the Sharks and you hate the Ducks.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, you got to. And now we got the Vegas Knights thrown into that mix too.
Yeah, that's a tough
And the
one, 'cause
Canucks.
I love
hate the
Vegas.
Canucks.
I kind of can tolerate the Canucks now, now that the Sedin twins are gone. I didn't like them when there was the Sedin and when Kessler was with them. And
For me, it was Luongo.
oh yeah,
Roberto Luongo, the goalie. No, I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like the way his face looked. I didn't like anything about him. He was this big lumbering dude that just was using his size as his advantage, which it's fine for a goalie, but I didn't think he was very skilled. But then he would talk smack. It's like, dude.
right.
And he talked smack to one of my favorite goalies, Tim Thomas.
Oh,
who would
yeah.
come out and play really aggressively.
Right.
And so Luongo was like, no, I can make that save from the paint. It's like, dude, okay. And 2 games later, like the Bruins are holding the cup.
Right,
So,
yeah.
so that was good. I felt good for that. But I didn't like the Canucks after that. I think it's because they always play the Kings too. Growing up, I just hated everybody that played the Kings all the time.
Yeah, I know how you feel exactly.
Yeah, it's hard being a hockey fan here in Hawaii, because there's not a lot of people here that are fans of hockey, and not a lot of people that understand the game, not a lot of people that care about the game. There's
Oh yeah,
a lot of people like basketball and baseball and soccer. Jesus,
Yep.
can't stand soccer.
Every year you get the same people like, oh, you play hockey? Where do you play hockey at here? Is it inline? I was like, no, I play ice hockey. He goes, really? Where? I was like, dude, you don't know there's an ice rink on this island?
Everybody knows
Yeah.
there's Ice Palace. Everybody knows there's Ice
But they always
Palace.
ask me, where do you play ice hockey at here? I'm like, Ice
Ice
Palace.
rink?
What do you think? It's like, oh yeah, I guess so. It makes sense. I'm like, you're like, okay, but
You ever go to Ice Palace and you see the wall around
Yeah,
it and see the lines on the? Yeah, that's there for a reason.
yeah, I always thought hockey here would actually by now. I mean, I've been doing it for 30 plus years already, and I thought it'd be a lot bigger now because they always had the kids, programs, and a lot of the kids that start off, I don't see them in our adult league that we play in. I don't know if they moved to the mainland because I know some are military transplant kids, but there's a lot of local kids. Some do stay and play here, but I don't see too many that play regularly as an adult as they did as a kid and a teen.
Yeah, and a lot of people that I grew up with in Mililani playing hockey, there's a core group of them that still play.
Right.
And we're all, late 30s, early 40s. And a vast majority of those kids that I grew up with, they just stopped playing. They got, job, they got family, they got kids.
Yeah,
and they
life
just,
gets in the way, right?
Yeah, it does. But for me, it was always a priority. I took like a 5-year hiatus
Right.
in my mid-20s. And then came back and just loved it ever since. And just, I've just constantly play. I don't think I've really stopped playing since then. I love that, you can be a 40-year-old guy or girl and still play this recreational sport at a nice facility every week.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome. I think, people late in their years, man, you got to have something. You got to have something to keep you motivated, keep you healthy, keep you going, instead of just sitting down at work all day, every day and not having anything to go back to, play sports, whether it's basketball or playing soccer.
I think if there was another rink on the island, it would do a lot for local ice hockey. So,
Yeah.
but cost, land, and all that obviously it's a huge hurdle, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was always like something in the back of my mind. I wish would have always took off here. It's like, a second rink, because the one ice palace, you gotta share the ice with public skating, figure skating. Now they got that curling thing going
Yep.
on. It's like, yeah, it would have been nice, to have like even high school hockey here. So, but you can't
Something.
do that with just one rink on the island.
Right.
So,
And now they have the Capole roller rink, which has two rinks inside of it.
yes,
And that's the one I play
awesome
at all the time,
facility,
right?
Yes.
So, and you see there, like, there's not a whole lot of kids that play at that facility. There's enough to keep it going.
Right.
And I wish they would get more. But the kids that do play there, they're good.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I've
they're
seen
going
it.
there. And they play often, like several times a week.
Right.
They're there practicing and playing hockey, and they have a really great coach that's leading them through. But these teams, they go to the mainland and they take medals. They take home
Right,
medals. I mean,
right.
and they're traveling with several age groups when they do travel to the mainland, and they're playing these teams in the mainland, just blowing them out. Yeah, it's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So what I take from that is like, it doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you have a place to play and you play often,
Yeah.
you're gonna get good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
With the right guidance, all that. Yeah. But main thing, like you said, you have a place to play.
right.
So that's the good thing about that place. That's such an awesome rink.
Keep telling people to come out.
I used to joke
good place.
when Richard first opened it up. I played one season of inline there when they first opened up. Before he even provided the jerseys, there was no fans. It was just a sauna box in there.
Yeah.
And I don't think they even had the concession stand running full time yet. But anyways, yes, I played there one season, and such a great facility. But it was just hot for one. But
Well, you come from playing on ice,
yeah, no, but it was hot because they didn't have, it's basically a warehouse in
And you skate
Kapolei. And, well, I had to. It's too hot. No. But
if you skate faster, you
get
get
more
cooler.
wind, right?
Yeah.
You got to create your own coolness, right? But, yeah, I mean, I think, now I always wish he would have just converted it to ice at some point. But, yeah, inline, I always loved inline, too, but I just like the way the ice game is played in inline. Inline, you can cherry pick somebody the whole time, and
The whole time, yeah.
And
It's a
I
much
like
faster back and forth. It's
Yeah.
it's meant to get more shots on, more scoring.
right,
So for recreational hockey, I like that.
Right.
Because you're not going offsides. Like, who cares about offsides? They can't even carry the puck. Like, just let them
Right.
in.
yeah,
I found that happening a lot at Ice Palace sometimes.
yeah, because it
Playing
slows
the
down
city.
the game and stuff.
It totally
like that.
does.
Yeah.
I'm like, just let them come in. Just
Yeah.
let them go. Because I'm just standing here doing nothing.
Especially like C League,
Yeah.
So it's kind of, that's supposed to be the development league at Ice
Yeah.
Palace. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
should just let them. As long as you got a little bit of control going off sides, who cares, right? But it is what it is. They got to learn the rules anyways. So
Yeah, but that's that. So you can
Yeah.
learn that later. But my kids are in lacrosse.
now that's a good sport.
That's a really good sport.
Yeah.
And I think one of the great things about that is that there's not a whole lot of rules. So it's really easy. It's like you get the ball on your stick, you run it
Right.
down the field. The offsides is only the number of people on one half of the field at any one time.
Right,
So you have to keep a certain amount of people on your defensive side.
right.
So as long as you have that many people on your defensive side, everybody else goes on to the offensive side. That's it. That's pretty legit. It's like too many men on the field kind of
Right.
thing. That's all. That's what the offsides is. So easy to understand. And you can switch players back and forth, whoever, as long as it's a certain number of players on each side. But other than that, it's basically pick up the ball, run a ball down the field, throw it in the net.
I've watched that a lot. So
Yeah.
college lacrosse. Remember when you used to have Major League Lacrosse?
Yep.
Back in the day when the
Yep.
goalies had those big upper shoulder pads.
Well, they still do.
they still do that?
Indoor lacrosse
Okay.
is called box lacrosse.
Yeah.
And that's when the net is kind of small and the goalie's wearing all these pads.
Right.
But they're not running. The guys aren't running up and down the field too much because it's in like a hockey
confined,
rink
yeah.
kind of thing. So there's that. But the field lacrosse is played on a big field. It's a little bit bigger than a football field, and the goalies don't wear hardly any pads. They
Yeah.
wear like a baseball chest protector
Right.
and a cup.
So that's an exciting sport.
It is.
That's an exciting sport.
And
I mean,
it's-
even
it's
if you
pretty
didn't know
easy.
the rules, if you just watched it, I think you'd be entertained.
Right. You can
So,
totally follow it.
Yeah.
Like the refs will blow the whistle and stuff on certain things, and the guy will just drop the ball, run, and the other team will pick up the ball
Right.
and start from there and go.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of stopping. The only time they do a face-off is when someone scores a goal
Yeah.
or the period starts or something like that. That's it. That's the only time they have a face-off. Otherwise, they're throwing it in
Right.
or they're running it in. They just
Yeah.
keep the game going.
Moving. Yeah.
It's so cool. And it's a lot like when they set up their offense and stuff, it's a lot like basketball because they set up kind of a horseshoe around
Yeah.
the net and they're passing it around and they're having guys run through and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So people that play basketball and watch basketball a lot, I think when they watch lacrosse, you can kind of pick it up
Yeah.
what they're doing
Yeah.
kind of easily. And you can see the picks and rolls and stuff like that because they're doing the same thing in basketball.
Yeah.
It's just now they got a stick.
Yeah,
and-
it's got like little elements of like you said, basketball, almost like soccer too, but they're going back and forth. It's like another one. I always thought it'd be a great high school sport option for local kids because it's always football, basketball, baseball here.
right.
know.
Soccer,
Yeah,
volleyball.
Yeah, so
But lacrosse, lacrosse should be a good sport here in Hawaii. We have the weather for it.
Yeah.
We have the fields for it, and honestly, we have the kids for it.
Right.
Too many kids, playing soccer. Too many kids playing baseball and stuff, and just only playing those sports.
Right.
Like they get in these club sports and they're playing that club all year round, whether it be baseball, basketball, soccer. So we try to tell people with our league, just take a break. The lacrosse season here is only like three months
Yeah.
or so, and that's it. We only have one season a year, and it's good to get kids to do something different.
right.
And lacrosse takes in all the skills from hand-eye coordination from tennis and baseball,
Yeah.
and the running from soccer, and the physicality from. We don't hit like they do in football because there's no
Right.
tackling or anything, but there is shoving.
Right.
They could run up to each other and they do shove, and most of the time the kid doesn't fall down. So they're just getting shoved. Hitting is not allowed, like full-on collisions like in football. That's not allowed. And basketball because of the setup and the picks and the rolls and stuff like that. And the passing. That's all very similar to basketball how they do it. They're just doing it with a stick and a ball.
Right.
So you're learning all that the hand-eye coordination, and it's even good for kids. There's so many different positions in lacrosse. If a kid is maybe on a small side, maybe would never make a football team.
Right.
They
do
can
well
find
in lacrosse.
they can find a home in lacrosse. If you're slow, you can find a home in lacrosse. If you're really fast, you can find a home. But being like super fast in lacrosse is okay, but it doesn't give you that much of an advantage.
Right.
Because there's always defenders in front of you. So being super fast, you may beat the guy behind you, but there's going to be somebody in front of you that you're going to have to get by. So it helps obviously to be fast, but agility is better. But then you get like those big, I seen on the St. Louis high school lacrosse team, they took some of like the offensive linemen and they were playing defense. The defenders in lacrosse are carrying these 6-foot poles.
Right.
He got these offensive linemen, high school offensive linemen from St. Louis carrying these 6-foot poles,
Jeez.
just like punishing people. You couldn't score on them, they're kind of agile and they're really big.
Okay, so there is a high school that does play lacrosse.
Yeah, so St. Louis has a high school club and Punahou has a high school club.
Oh, okay.
And then the rest of the kids kind of from all the other high schools kind of join up one team.
Yeah.
And make it go out of it. But they're all pretty good.
Right.
Well, compared to, for Hawaii anyways.
And it's still pretty new here, right? I don't know how long it's been organized here, but probably take a while before it really starts to catch on where it may be an option for high school sports.
It's been going on.
Look at high school surfing. When I grew up, there was high school surfing was a no-no,
Right.
one for liability and all that. And now you got the high school state championships and all that. But that took like almost 3 decades to come to fruition. So
the ship turns slow. So,
well, Hawaii's a predominantly football, baseball, fan base anyway. So
but even like football, the numbers for participation in football have gone down repeatedly year after year after year because parents, they see a lot of the concussions and stuff
Right.
and like damaging the kids' brains and the injuries that they do suffer,
Right.
whether it be to their legs, to their arms or whatever. It's the injury rate in football is really high compared to other sports. so you have a lot less kids signing up. And, my kids, they're not allowed to play football. I don't know if they're going to ever play football, but they don't. And they're in 6th grade and 4th grade.
Right.
So they're almost at that time when, they could start really playing football. But it's just not a thing we want to risk having them do, you know. I was lucky that when I was a kid playing football, I never got injured. That was very fortunate because a lot of the kids I did play with, whether it be broken collarbones, broken knees, broken ankles.
Oh, yeah. And you remember how they make us practice those days, right?
Smashing all the time, every practice.
Yep. If you didn't smash, drills. It's like, you weren't tough enough and all that mentality, right? Now you do that now, there'd be an uproar and the coach be fired and all this. Like, what are you doing?
Well, there was a coach at, was it Campbell that was doing that? Or it was one of the C schools, Castle or Campbell?
Oh, Castle, I think it was. The one with the video?
Yeah, the video of the kids running full speed at each other and just smashing. We did
that, Pop Warner.
That's insane.
The,
but like when we were kids, that was
the norm, yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like, no, you can't be doing that. Crazy. That's my kid's brain you're trying to smash there.
Yeah.
You're trying to get them concussions. Like that's basically what it amounts to. Yeah, so I think with less football players, hey, those kind of kids who still like the body contact and stuff like that, lacrosse is a great sport. Because my kids like the body contact. Because they play basketball. They're,
right.
They're never going to be good basketball players. Let's be honest. Hawaii does not produce, like, superstar basketball players.
Right.
I don't know. Are there any NBA players from Hawaii?
I don't think
so. I don't think so.
One. Not even. I don't even know if anybody went to, like, Canadian basketball or, whatever, overseas. So...
Yeah,
I don't know if Kavika Hallams played professional basketball, but who knows?
But it's like, you're coming from a predominantly Asian population and Polynesian population. It's just that basketball is a height-dominated sport, man. Yeah. It's like we don't have tall people here too much.
Yeah.
And I remember going away to college and went to Las Vegas, UNLV, and I was short. Not even average height, but I was like one of the shorter people. Not just guys, shorter people.
Right. Yeah.
Like the men and the women there were taller.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise. It was a little shock. It's like, wow, people are tall.
Salt water stunts our growth or something.
Like, I guess
so. I don't know. Every time I go mainland, I'm always freaking out. I'm like, man, that girl is tall. Holy smokes. And that's like average there. It's like, they're like 5'9", 5'10", and it's like, holy smokes.
So I don't understand why basketball is so big here. It's like, dude, your kid's not going to play past high school. He might get into a college and play basketball at college. He probably won't.
Only a few good state, players make like D1,
college.
Like, yeah.
Right.
A lot of them go either junior college or, or they go UH, right?
Yeah.
But to play for a big time program, I don't know too many local kids that played for a big time program.
Yeah.
Duke or, Kentucky and all that. As far as basketball,
or even UNLV. I mean, UNLV is a big school for Hawaii kids to go to. And I don't think their basketball team that I know
had local kids.
Yeah,
not starting at least, if anything, right?
No,
they're probably
definitely
like
not.
benchers and stuff. So
yeah, it's not like football. Like football, like Hawaii kids can really excel.
Yeah,
and we've seen that, and they go to the NFL and stuff like that. So I think that's good. Baseball, definitely. Soccer, I don't know. Who cares about soccer? No, one of my high school classmates went off and played professional soccer. I think he played for Team USA and then went off to play professional soccer.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Can't think of his name.
Yeah, that's the exception, right? Not the norm.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah,
because like one person. But I'm looking forward to lacrosse. My kids playing. They could play at the college level if they just wanted to. Because the number of colleges that have lacrosse is still quite numerous,
right?
And the number of kids that play lacrosse is still kind of small, nationwide. Right. So the percentage of how many kids from high school go on to college in lacrosse is like one of the highest percentages of any other sport.
Right.
I think water polo or something like that is still high too, but you look at things like football, like not a lot of kids play high school football that go on to college football.
Right. My thing too is if you got a kid that's considered like a prodigy here, a local kid, instead of developing him here his whole up until his colleges, you can't keep him here. If you really want him to have a chance at becoming that professional athlete, you got to send him elsewhere.
I guess it depends on the sport. It depends on the child.
Yeah, well, to me, basketball, baseball. I mean, you get the few exceptions that they can play here their whole teen up to high school and college and still make it as a pro. That's a given. But you can get a kid that's kind of like on the bubble, you want to say. If he went to the mainland and just got better exposure and better, not to say that coaching sucks here, but just a better atmosphere. That borderline kid actually probably, to me, would excel more than if he just stayed here.
Yeah.
It's
very tough, crack, especially for basketball, because you have to realize, these kids have to realize that they may be good at basketball here at their local school or whatever, but compared to the kids in the mainland that are playing that sport all the time and have the genetics for it, you're not going to compete. Sorry, but all right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
No, thank you for inviting me. Cool place.
It's been great.
Good luck with the future podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for helping me with the lighting and stuff. I think it looks a lot better on the camera.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
A little, same as photography a little bit, so it works out.
Yeah. So. Okay, everybody, if you haven't yet, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. And remember, Alpha 808 Alpha.
Alpha 808 _ photography, or just Alpha 808 photography.
Alpha 808 photography on Instagram, Facebook too?
Facebook is just be John Ledesma. So
nobody wants to be your friend. So, they just want to see your pictures.
I don't want to. I got too many Facebook friends.
But go check out his pictures.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see something you like,
hit us up in the comment below if you need to find out how to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Sounds good.
Thank you. Aloha.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Aloha.
Stay happy, Hawaii.
All right. Cool. Oh, yeah. Shit.